everything where them they do. Them a like to kill a brother man. Nobody to kill innocent man. Hey, we are moving to the promised land. Hey, we are grooving to the promised land. I want to be free from the zoo. I no belong to the zoo. What did them like make them do? I am a girl from Mando. I won't be free from the zoo. I no belong to the zoo. What did them like make them do? I am a girl from Mando. Make a year, I know be Biafran. Make a year, we no go. Make a year, I know be Biafran. Make a year, we no go. I want to be free from the zoo. I no belong to the zoo. What did them like make them do? I am a girl from Mando. I won't be free from the zoo. I no belong to the zoo. What did them like make them do? I am a girl from Mando. I won't be free from the zoo. I no belong to the zoo. What did them like make them do? I am a girl from Mando. I won't be free from the zoo. I no belong to the zoo. What did them like make them do? I am a girl from Mando.
This is Biafra Television, exposing the lies. This is Biafra Television, exposing the lies.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Biafrans, friends of Biafrans and lovers of freedom all over the world. Welcome to Sunrise Daily News Analysis on Biafra Television, a program that has been designed to educate and enlighten you about the happenings in our surrounding, about the Biafra struggle, what to expect, and of course, what is obtainable. This is a platform where we dish out the raw truth, the way it is, without fear of favor, without minding whose ox is God. We say it. We analyze news in details as well. We have news from different Nigerian newspapers. We analyze them and of course give it out the way it should be. We are here with the gospel of the restoration of Biafra, and of course our weapon is a weapon of truth. No two ways about it. We are the indigenous people of Biafra, led by Nnamdi Kanu and deputized by Mazuti Mefo. We are here without no retreat, no surrender, without fear before our enemies, we have come to restore Biafra. And of course, we are reaching from Biafra land this morning. I am Ngozi Chukwuka. With me in the studio, I have
Bright Oriako.
Maziraka. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Of course, Mazi Bright Oriako will be educating us as a great analyst. We'll be analyzing what we have here this morning. We'll be educating us, and of course, for us to be enlightened, because there are a lot of issues on ground. There are some people are kind of in panic. A lot of people are making different assertions. But on this platform, we are here to clear the doubt in the minds of our people. We are here to ensure that we work together. We are here to ensure that every single word, every single action, every single step made by the leadership is well understood and of course well assimilated for us to work together, because we have just one common goal, which is to attain our freedom, and that we must get without biased mind, without fear or favor. So this morning, like I said earlier, we are reaching you from Biafra land, and we are transmitting simultaneously on Radio Biafra London. So for people at home, for people in Biafra land, please reach out to them. If you're in diaspora, reach out to your family at home to join us on Radio Biafra London. Tune in, and of course you will hear us speaking. You will hear what we are discussing this morning. It's very, very important. Sunrise is important to everyone. Every indigenous person of Biafra, every lover of freedom, every hater of freedom, our enemies. Sunrise Zelo program is very important to them, so you keep informing them. Of course, we are also on our satellite TV. We are on Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, and YouTube. So please, if you're on Facebook, you share this program on your wall, share it to your friends everywhere, share it in their inbox. Via their inbox. You also share to every group or forum where you find yourself on Facebook. Then if you're on Twitter, please keep tweeting the program, keep tweeting it. It's very, very important with the program. Of course, on YouTube as well. Someone was asking yesterday, are we live on YouTube? Yes, we are live on YouTube. We are live on Periscope. We are live on all these platforms that I've mentioned this morning. We are everywhere. So please, inform your friends, inform your enemies, invite your friends, invite your enemies, and of course make sure the gospel of the resurrection of Biafra really, gets to all the nooks and cranny of this world. Very, very important. The world must hear about us. And of course today our issues are being discussed everywhere. That is to show that we are almost there. We are almost at our destination. Don't forget, in the end, Biafra will be restored. All right, let's go straight to what we have here. Riako, we have an issue that has been causing a kind of hoax in the atmosphere. A lot of people are in panic. So many are making wrong assertions, so many wrong speculations. And what's that issue? Since after our leader's interview with the Israeli national TV, a lot of people are confused. Let me use the word confused because if they are not confused, they will be able to understand. But some are confused, some are biased, some are making wrong assertions and speculations. But we need to put everyone through. We need to understand what we are in, and of course how we should go about it. And what is that? The Jewish state of Biafra.
Exactly.
The Jewish state of Biafra. What to expect? Okay, so according to Nnamdi Kanu, when he was interviewed, he said Biafra is made up of 70 million people, with no less than 50 million of them practicing Judaism. And I'll start from there. What do you think? How true is his assertion?
Yes, our leader is absolutely true. Because we are the indigenous people of Biafra, and all the efforts that have been made is to return us back to our roots. Our leader is working assiduously, doing everything he can as a person to return us back to our roots. Remember, that is what he promised us, and that is what we have been fighting for. The struggle for the restoration of Biafra is about getting back to our roots, and that is the truth. So his statement and his assertion was right, because look at the indigenous people of Biafra as it is today. Look at Biafra land. Look at our people all over the world. You see that, yes, you talk about Biafra being practicing Judaism, and you talk about Christian Biafra also. You look at the two. You ask yourself, who are we really? You know, you ask yourself, what is our identity? Who are we as Biafrans? And you ask yourself, how do we express it? Can you find these things in our land? Can you find the religion being practiced? Can you see it in us? Is there anything in our culture that repeats all these things? And you see, look around and you see that all we do in totality, we just practice Judaism. That is it. But the only thing is that so many people, based on the European corruption of through colonization, based on corruption of our religion, based on corruption of our cultural heritage, of our identity, that things began to fall apart. And of course, there are a lot of issues that emerge. But the truth about it is that more than 50 million Biafrans already are practicing Judaism. More than 50 million Biafrans, as our leader said, because our leader know it, and knowledge, you remember, is the most powerful thing today. Knowing exactly what is on ground, knowing what the people are doing, and of course remember that he is fighting to return us back to our roots. So the whole thing is that we are even more than 50% Biafrans practice Judaism, and that is it. So if you look at Biafra land, go around Biafra land, you see the evidences all over Biafra land.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, sometimes there are some words that seem to be ambiguous, and of course we need to break it down so we will understand it. What really is Judaism? Okay,
when you look at Judaism, that is the first question I asked the first day I got into a synagogue. I asked this question because we've been hearing about Judaism, and it's just that we have linguistic problems. We have linguistic problems in the sense that every religion that they brought to us have always come with the language that makes it look as if it is holy. See how when Christianity, they brought Christianity to us, you talk about the Latin language, you talk about Christians speaking in tongue, and you talk about the English language. So when you pray in Latin, you are like you are communicating with the heavens. You pray in English, yes, you could speak good English, then your prayer has been heard. And you can speak in tongue, you speak even when you don't know what you are saying, your prayer is. So it's just about linguistic problems. So when you look at Judaism, you look at what it is. It's just our way of life. Simple. That is what it is. And when you dig it down, you return us back to our root, our culture, because we have been struggling to get back to our roots. And at this moment, it seems to be so difficult for a lot of people to understand, because you know we have come to the core value, the core place where the knife was put, where things began to fall apart. That is the point where things fell apart. That is exactly where they put the knife and divided us, and up until now things fell apart because the European system. You know you have the European version. That is what you see in the Bible. You see the Bible divided into New Testament and Old Testament, which is different from what you have in the Torah. So, but you see in the Bible they divided it into New Testament and Old Testament, and they brought it to us. But we see so many elements of what is there in the Bible. We see so many of them in our culture. So that is why we wholeheartedly accepted the Bible the way it was, without questions. And of course, they brought it to us and written in English, and they were interpreting to us. So you look at the issue of Judaism. You look at what is Judaism? Judaism is simply our way of life. We are Jews by nature. It's about language. Calling yourself a Jew, calling yourself an Igbo man.
So how do you describe it in our language? Because just like you said, we have linguistic problems. How do you call Judaism in our own dialect or in our language, so that people will understand? We need to bring it down so that people will definitely understand what is our way of life. What do we call it in our own language?
You bring it down to me as an Igbo man. We say omenala. Omenala ndigbo. We're returning back to our roots. That is it. So you have omenala, you have ordinala. So when you bring it down, you discover that what you just have is Judaism. Because what people are confused about is just the language. That yes, you talk about Hebrew language. Are we going to start learning Hebrew? Are you going to start saying our prayers in Hebrew language? And people are, people are afraid of linguistic problems. The same linguistic problem that I've always had. So the truth about it is that it has always been there with us. We have always practiced Judaism. Our ordinala is a true expression of Judaism. And that is what our forefathers did. That is what our forefathers practiced.
But they never called it Judaism during their own practice.
It's a linguistic problem. I tell you about linguistic problem. Think about the word Igbo also. Look at how our language have also changed over the years. So you talk about change in the language all the time. Remember, even in Biafra land, see how we have been divided by our language. If you travel from Abo and you move down to Iguacha, you discover that it's the same Igbo speaking areas, but you see that the dialects change over the time. The way people will say things change over the time, and you see a lot of changes that occur in our language, especially when we had the colonial masters that actually came to divide us and introduce strange language, and everything fell apart. We could never get back to our roots anymore. If not for Nnamdi Kanu, who Chukwu Abịama have actually empowered with knowledge, with wisdom, and today we are tracing ourselves back to our roots. So it is not something strange. We are simply getting back to where we started, where our ancestors used to be, with the God that our forefathers worshipped. That is what we are going back to.
Who's that God?
We talk about Chukwu Abịama. Chukwu Abịama, and like you rightly said, we talk about why didn't they call it Judaism? Okay, we call Chukwu Abịama. That is the way we. But today you talk in Israel, they talk about Elohim. Is it not the same thing? Like you have a temple in Jerusalem, and we have one in Arochukwu. So we are saying the same thing, because we are the same people, having the same cultural values, having the same spirituality, having the same roots, having everything. You see, look at the similarity, because it's all about looking at the similarity. What you have today in the state of Israel and what you have today in Biafra land. You look at the two, you cannot separate it. We are fundamental. If you look at everything written in the Old Testament, just go down there to the book of Leviticus and look at it very well. You are seeing our core ordinala. You are seeing our core menala. We see the way we do things. You see our ancestors, like I was circumcised in the 8th day. Not because Christianity asked us to do that. We were doing it before they brought Christianity to us.
Before the Bible was written. Yes,
even before Bible was written. So this issue of circumcision, issue of having a Shabbat day, we have always had it. It has always been there. Remember, we used to have the kuku. On that day, even you are forbidden from dying. On a kuku, you are even forbidden from doing. That day is our day of worship. It has always been there. We have always practiced it. But the truth is that today people have linguistic problems. It's just that strange language entered, and of course they divided us. The Europeans took time, and remember, they worked seriously on our history.
Okay. Thank you very much. Like you said, Judaism have been in worship over the years. For like how long has it been existing in Biafra land?
You see, talking about existing in Biafra land, it is there. It has always been there in our roots. It has always been there. You cannot actually, we cannot not at the moment begin to trace the age of Judaism, because you cannot actually trace the age of an Igbo man. That is it. Right. Because Judaism is there from our roots. That is our foundation. So you cannot remove it from the Igbo man's roots. It is there. So you asking me how long it has been is just like asking me how old is the Igbo man. So we are Bo people. We are the ancient people. You trace down until we begin to, of course, dig down, because archaeology, when Biafra is restored, we are going to really look for archaeological evidences which are already there. We will dig them down and find out the age of everything. So we have always been there, and we are the ancient people, and that is why I keep talking about our spirituality. We gave spirituality to the world. We are the one carrying the light. This is the land of the rising sun, and that is why from here you see the light shining to the whole world. Everything the world is enjoying today, the energy the world is enjoying today, they are getting it from Biafra land, because they took advantage of us without us knowing. It's a portion of ignorance. Our people simply play around. Our people simply come up to talk things they don't know because they are ignorant. All you need to do is get back to study. You need to get back to your family lineage and begin to study. Trace yourself back to the root. You see that all that have been written in Leviticus in the Old Testament is about us. You cannot remove anything from it. So more than 80% of what they brought to us in the Bible, we are written about us. It's just that the Europeans, of course, based on their own corruption, brought something and they divided it into testaments, and that is the confusion. They now, of course, written in English, and the other version, you talk about Latin, you talk about English, struggling with the same thing. But it's just their own version of Judaism. But we have been practicing it. Before they brought it to us, we have been, of course, practicing it because it has always been there with us.
All right, thank you very much. Still in the interview, when our leader Nnamdi Kanu was asked, in what way do you say these people practice Judaism? In what way? He said in their way of prayer, their kuppah, their talit, they use the Torah, and have you seen such evidences? Looking at the olden days, just like you said, in the past, our people, our grandfathers, our ancestors practiced Judaism. Do you think they use these materials in the past?
Of course they did.
Okay.
They did. There are evidences. And of course he cited it clearly. Go to Aguleri, go to Muleri in Anambra State. You see the whole thing there. Of course they still retain those values. And do you know something? I was in Enugu was in 2 years ago or thereabouts. And I met a man. He said when he started practicing the Judaism, he never knew that it still existed. He said that they would even nearly stone him because they felt he was doing something straight. People didn't know that he was
like how many years ago?
That he as a person had practiced Judaism up to 30 years. He didn't know. He discovered that people were practicing, and he joined. He got to realize that.
So that's to say, Judaism did not actually come with the indigenous, the emergence of
no,
as people are claiming.
No. Judaism have always been here. It didn't.
So it's got nothing to do with.
It's about discovery. It has got nothing to do with Nnamdi Kanu. Remember what Nnamdi Kanu said. Okay. He said, "I am not IPOB. I do the will of IPOB." Nnamdi Kanu is not bringing something new to us. It's not bringing something strange. It's not changing anything. He's only helping us to find our roots, because he is the man that have gone ahead of us to study, to discover what is in our land. Nnamdi Kanu knows so many things in our land, know the core values, know our system. He knows everything, and Chukwu Kikabiyama have so much, giving him so much wisdom, understanding, that he even traced it, and he realized that, see, what we have in Arochukwu, the temple that we have in Arochukwu, he has seen it, and as a spiritual man he understood that there is no difference. He had been to Israel, he had been to Arochukwu, and he could look at the two. He said there is no difference. What you have in Arochukwu is exactly what you have in Jerusalem. So you see that our people have been practicing Judaism long ago, and you see so many people just discovered it with the coming of the indigenous people of Biafra, because they saw Nnamdi Kanu returning back to Judaism, and a good number of them, of course, followed him because they know that he is the one man with the answer. Nnamdi Kanu is the one that have discovered the solution, and he's working toward that path. So a lot of people didn't even ask questions, and of course you see that the troop, a lot of people began to follow him and in that direction. But before that, so many people in our land have been practicing Judaism. A good number of them practice secretly.
So now, is this a kind of, some religious folks are scared? Is Judaism or is being Jews really a religion?
You see, when you look at it, Judaism is not supposed to be a religion.
Okay.
Judaism is a way of life. It's a way of life, and you are looking at it, you are coming back to our culture. You are coming back to our tradition. You are coming back to our roots. You are coming back to our identity. So you see, today is just like something needs to be clear to the people. Something needs to be clear to the international community. There is no better way of expressing ourselves today in the international community than, of course, looking at Israel, because Israel have got a clear definition of everything. They have worked over the years while we were being colonized. They were working, and they have come. The Chukwu Kikabiyama have actually helped them, and today you can see the state of Israel. You can see what makes Israel Israel. It's already in us. We are not bringing it. It's already in us, because we are this. You cannot separate Israel from Biafra, and you cannot separate Biafra from Israel. We have always been there. It's all about you discovering who you are, and any day you discover your roots and return back to your roots, things will start working. Because people don't ask questions. Why are things falling apart? Yesterday I asked a question. Why would people betray others? Because they don't know who they are. They don't know anything about themselves. People don't understand their core value, their spirituality. People don't understand their culture. People don't understand their family way of life. They don't even know the God that their forefathers worshipped. And that is why you see people doing strange things today in the name of religion. People come today, especially you look at it all over, they come with strange religions and they worship things they don't know. People go as far as some part of Western world. People go to Rome and bring things to Biafra land. They don't know what those things are because they say code number and you know what is in our land is what gives us the solution, because every solution you are looking for is there within you. It's not coming from abroad. It's right there in you, because I believe that what takes you to the peak is already in you. So that is the truth. But people don't realize what is here, because we have been cut off. We have been made to believe that our way of life is evil. It has been corrupted, and a lot of strange things we are brought into Biafra land, and people worship so many things they don't know. People worship a lot of images they don't know. People worship so many things and they think that is no. Igbo tradition is pure. We have the purest spirituality anywhere in the world. You cannot compare it to any tradition anywhere in the world.
All right, thank you very much. Then, according to Nnamdi Kanu, when he asked what he wanted, he stated that he wanted the Jewish state of Biafra. What does he mean by the Jewish state of Biafra? Like I asked before, calling it a Jewish state of Biafra, does it have anything to do with Biafra land being Jews or religious diversity? Or trying to impose a particular religion?
He is not imposing anything on us. He's not diverting us to anything. He's not changing anything. He is simply telling us the world who we are. He is simply expressing, get there at the international community. You need to explain, you know that there in the world today, there are various languages in the world today. And of course, a lot of people in the world wonder what makes the Igbo man what we are today. They try to kill us. Remember what Israel suffered is what we have been suffering. Remember that how we are in the midst of enemies is exactly the way Israel is in the midst of enemies also. And of course, there is no other language, there is no other a better way of expressing who we are, if not the Jewish identity. Look at it. Turn it anyhow you like. There is no better expression, there is no better way of expressing our identity if not with that Jewish identity, because that is who we are. You look at the similarities, you look at everything, look at our cover list. Look at Biafra nation is a Jewish nation. He is right. And of course, it's not that we are bringing Israel, state of Israel to Biafra, or Biafra colonizing Israel, or Israel it's not. There's nothing like that. It's about the indigenous people of Biafra being free to live as the people in Biafra land. We are talking about total freedom. We are not talking about anybody colonizing anybody. No, we are simply talking about we returning back to our roots. That is who we are. That this is the Jewish state of Biafra, and that is it. So there is nothing anybody can do about it. That is our root. So it is about us. He is simply describing who we are to the international community, because the world has wondered there's something in these people. The world has been trying to find out what is it that makes the Igbo man. What is, look at the intelligence. You cannot differentiate the intelligence of the Biafra, what you have in the Biafran state of Biafra, to what you have in the state of Israel. So you cannot differentiate it. The intelligence, the spirituality, look at Biafra, and you cannot just separate. So he has simply explained to the world who we are. He is not bringing something new to us. He is simply telling the world that we are already Biafra. And of course, he said the better way, the best way to describe us is Jewish state of Biafra, and that is who we are. That is what we have been. We are not trying to be Jew. We have always been Jews.
Okay, thank you very much. We've always been Jews. Okay, so you think you are saying that Nnamdi Kanu is right addressing the imagined Biafra nation as a Jewish state of Biafra?
Exactly.
So you think others, people with other religion is going to accept it? Because to them now, Judaism is all about, they think it's coming to stop them from practicing their different religion and seeing Biafra as a Jewish state of Biafra. They see it as a way of colonization. They think, so many people are saying, this is a new way of colonizing us. Nnamdi Kanu is bringing a new colonialism into Biafra land, So what is it about that?
Even right there in the Bible, in the Old Testament, there's something that I saw there. My people perish for what? Lack of knowledge. Because you hated knowledge, you hated understanding, that is why you suffer. So people perish for lack of knowledge. And that is what the British government did to you. Cutting you back from your roots, destroying your history. Because if you get down to your family, you discover that most of the things you are even bringing, thinking that you are having religion, doesn't belong there. And that is why, you see, when these churches came, they emphasized on one thing: leave your father, leave your mother, and run to us. That is one thing you see them emphasizing in the church. But Judaism is a family thing. Remember that it's about our family lineage.
So I hope you're not trying to, you know, make it look as if the Christians, you know, their religion is not good.
No, it's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I see, I've earlier said that when you talk about Christianity today, that is the European version they brought to us.
Of Judaism.
Yes, that is their own version. And of course, they brought it to destroy what we already had and gave it to us. And they worked hard to destroy what we had.
So are you saying those who practice Christianity should abhor it, or should do away with it and, you know, key into the Judaism?
All you need to do is discover the difference, because there are slight differences. What the European version of it. So what we need to work on is get back to our family lineage, get back to our roots, because all we are going to do is embark on a serious study. Because Nnamdi Kanu have simply told you something. You need to go back and study, because you get back to your family. Ask your family, go back to your family roots, because it's that is what we know, we are known for. You get back to your family, and you hear me all the time telling people, get back to your family, find out what is in your family, because that is where your roots is, that is where your history is, that is where everything about you are a human being. You already have a system, you already had a family system. And remember, Chinua Achebe made it clear, said the white man came and put a knife between that which is binding me and my brother. It is not about Christianity. No, the problem is not Christianity. The problem is the colonial ideology. So they use Christianity to colonize us, bringing their own way of life, bringing the European standard of life to us, bringing their culture to us against our own values. That is the difference. So when you look deep into the Bible, you discover that yes, the real Bible was written for us. But along with the Bible, they have come with doctrines. That is the angle I'm coming from. They have come with doctrines, because there in the church you talk about doctrines. You see so many people deviating from the core things written in the Bible, and they establish churches with different doctrines. And some say we are Roman Catholic, some say we are Anglican, some say we are this, some say we are that.
So what you're saying is not really about the Bible.
No, it's not really about it. Is about us. You need to get down to study who you are. You must know who you are. You must identify yourself and find yourself. You discover yourself in the Bible. It is there written. It is there in the Torah. It is there. Our people, before they have the Bible came, before the printing press, before they started printing, our people had a way of writing. Do you know that we already had these religions things written? And of course, we will need to get back to study, get back to work, get all those archaeological evidences, because our forefathers, remember, it used to be an oral tradition that was passed from generation to generation. That is what it used to be before the invention of a printing press. And you saw the Bible was printed, and of course, when they printed, they brought it to us. The Europeans invented the printing press, and of course, they have done well by inventing the printing press. But we also had a way of writing those days. Our forefathers had actually written so many things, so many things. But this tradition we are talking about used to be in the family lineage, used to be in the family system. It is a core tradition that was passed orally from generation to generation, because we had our spirituality, and of course it was pure, very, very pure. And when we lived with our core values, our spirituality, we were better human beings. We were actually better human beings before the colonization. And all the time when we talk about what they did to us, we are simply saying that they diverted us, they changed us, they colonized our system and made our own culture, made our own tradition, made our own way of life look so evil. They made us to hate ourselves. They made us to hate our brothers. They made us to see ourselves as being evil. So our tradition is not evil. There's nothing evil. Of course, we know that so many people brought some strange things, because in our tradition there's no place for killing. You remember that our leader have said it, there's nothing called Osu in Biafra land. Those things don't exist. We are things that were brought from strange places in the process of colonization during those colonial days. They came in, and of course they were invented, they were planted in the system, and it became part of the system. And you know, with the colonization that was coming on, and a lot of things, so many strange things began to happen. And that is why the more you try to fix it, the more you cannot fix it. All you need to do is just get back to our roots. So there is nothing, it's not about Christianity. People, you see Biafrans practice Judaism in Christianity without knowing. A good number of them practice, because you see Biafrans, look at the religious circle today. Who are those that are sustaining even Christianity in the world? Because of our spirituality, because of our who we are, because what is in us is already in us, because of our core values. Go to all the churches in Europe, go to all the churches all over the world. Any church you get to and you don't see a Biafran there, watch that church, watch how it is.
So why is it like that?
Because of our spirituality. Okay. It is already in us. Okay. Because of our identity, because we are Biafrans. If you get down, the likes of TDJs know it better. The worst part of it is that these people we are talking about know you better than you do. Because they have observed us. They know there's something in us. A good number of us don't know because we have been brainwashed. We don't know what is in us. We see ourselves as being evil. But they know us that we are not evil. There's something good in us. And they are using it. They are using it to succeed. If you get down to Europe, go to all the churches there. You see that Biafrans are the one. You see priesthood today. You talk about the Roman Catholic. Who are the Roman Catholic priests today you find in Europe? Biafrans, the majority of priests you find in Europe today are from Biafra land. You go and check it. Go down to England. Go down to Rome. Go down to all the European countries. You see that they are enjoying something in us. We don't know, because it's just like you have been colonized. That is what it is. Colonization is all about somebody making you lording it over you and using what is in you. Because what is in us, is in our root is working for us. There is something about our spirit. There's something about our being. We are the children of Chukwu Kikabiama, and wherever we go on earth, that is why Nnamdi Kanu don't joke. He said to be an IPOB member is a privilege. Because IPOB is not about any other organization. It is IPOB family member. You have a root. And of course, it is a privilege in the sense that you are Wachineke. You are different from any other person in the world. And that is why you say we do our own things our own way. Get down there. You see, there was one statement I heard from one of the priests. He said, they have discovered that if you want to make your church grow, even there in America, all you need to do is have a Biafran in your prayer team. And you see the difference. So we are highly spiritual. Churches are surviving today because of Biafra. It is not because they are simply practicing. It is because of what is in us. They of course, as they move with our spirituality, move with our culture, and they of course move and with practicing Christianity, they never understood that there is something deeper in them beyond what they were given by the Europeans. So we are called Jews. When you want to look at who are the real Jews, we are the real Jews. We are the Jews in Africa. We are the Jews. And anywhere you identify an Igbo man, anywhere you see a Biafran, you have seen a Jew. So there is nothing separating us. It's not about the Christianity. A lot of them, of course, based on what the Europeans did, they told us that it was evil. Okay, so many of them now wrap it under Christianity. They came under the umbrella of Christianity, and but you see them go down there, you see what they practice is pure Judaism. Apart from so many of them that we are bold enough to come out openly, and of course some since 30 years have been practicing, they came out openly and they started practicing Judaism. So many people started recently, but there are so many of them that have been practicing it long time ago. And of course, get to Muleri, get to Aguleri, they returned it. They refused to allow the Europeans corrupt it. And that is why you get down there, you see everything, you see the spirituality, you see everything. We are just there. So we must actually thank them, because they were brave enough. While the Europeans told us that it was evil, they said no, there's nothing evil in our tradition, there's nothing evil in our culture, there's nothing evil in our ancestral heritage. We have inherited great spirituality from our ancestors, and we are the best, we are the purest in the world. There's nothing anybody can do about it. That is our Jewish heritage, our Jewish identity. So addressing us as the Jewish Biafran Jewish state is the right word, and that is who we are. We must come to realize that. We must wake up and begin to study. It's about studying. You just need to get back to your roots. Study, and when you argue with evidence. That is what I tell people. It's not just coming out to argue. When you said no, what Nnamdi Kanu said is wrong, get down to your family. Find out what is there. Get down to Judaism. Find out everything, and let's see the difference. If there's a difference, we have been practicing, and so many of them practice even without knowing, because it was handed over to them and they never know how to express it. It's about language. So many people don't understand the word. It's about language issues, a language barrier. But you see, we are working to get Biafra restored, because when Biafra is restored, all the differences will be put together, and of course we get everything fixed, because we must return back to our roots.
All right, thank you very much. When Biafra is restored, we'll get everything fixed. But so before Biafra is formally restored, before we talk about the sovereign state of Biafra, the Jewish state of Biafra being recognized officially or being restored officially, this issue, I think, is trying to cause a kind of confusion, a kind of division among us, because you see people from the, the Christians trying to, see it as another way of colonization or an evil coming in. You see those of them who are of the ordinal faith, that is, when translated in Hebrew language, Judaism, seem not to understand that it is still the same thing we are talking about. So what do we do now for the whole for people to understand that it's not a colonization? It's not a new colonization.
Yes, that is why we must get back to learning ways, because Biafra restoration is about teaching and learning. The restoration of Biafra, if you want to be a good person, a good citizen in the Biafra land, you must get back to reading ways. You must get back to studying. You must study, and study to the roots, because so many people argue without knowing what they argue. So many people come on online, and no, I don't blame them, because you see, when you have been misled for years, you need to understand that some of our fathers were born into the church. You need to get down to your village, because sometimes people talk without going back. Get down and interact with some people. You get to understand that some of our fathers that are still alive today, some of them are as old as 100 years, some of them are old as 80 years, have already been converted to the new way of life, to the way European have been colonized. The simple word is that they have been colonized, and based on their colonization, they now come and tell you, you are supposed to get back to your father, and your father is supposed to be the one to push this thing forward, the oral tradition. That is where we are having problem, because our forefathers who were supposed to teach us were colonized. So we too, we are colonized. So the post-colonial era.
Sorry, the whole issue now it seems as if all the blames are going to the colonization.
Simple.
Not really the religion, not really the
it is about colonization,
not the culture.
No, people don't understand. It's about understanding, because I'm sure that when we get back to learning ways, you remember what our leader have started doing. It wasn't easy. The first time our leader started talking to us, do you know how we were offended? Remember how he talked to us?
Yeah.
He sounded so hard on us, and a good number of us were so angry. The way what you see that was happening now, what happened when our leader started talking to us? So many people were so angry, but in the midst of their anger, after getting angry, they now started to reason. Sometimes there's this hearing and hearing, because learning, of course, understanding doesn't just come from one hearing. You talk about hearing and hearing until your inner ears hear the truth. So our leader kept talking, kept emphasizing, and that is why the best he did to us was to restore Radio Biafra London. And that is why it became the learning platform for the indigenous people. Radio Biafra London, Biafra Television. He has been talking to us. He has been praying to Chukwu Okike Abiama. If you watch, we believe in one God. Chukwu Okike Abiama. That is who we look up to. That is the maker of heaven and earth. That is our the supreme being. That is what we know, who we know as the supreme being, as worshipped by our ancestors. And that is how we say it in our mother tongue. The same way the English talk about God, we know Chukwu Okike Abiama, and that is very clear. We must come to study ourselves, understand these basic things. And you see, when people are suffering from ignorance, remember, sometimes you heard something that is strange for a long time. That is the problem. We have held to strange knowledge for a long time. They destroyed our history. so that we will never get back to it. And that is what do you think that when they were working on us, why do you think they concentrated so much on Biafra land? The Europeans were so serious about it. See, they brought Christianity actually, but you see that the Christianity wasn't given to the Yorubas as much as it was given to Biafra. Of course, we saw it as something good. We saw the Bible as something good because we could find ourselves there in the Old Testament.
And of course, the Bible itself was never bad.
It's not bad.
Okay.
So we saw everything that what has been written there is about us. So we embrace it in all totality. And once they saw we had embraced the Bible, they now brought their doctrine. That is where the problem came from. Get down to the churches and study their church doctrines. Get down to the churches and find out the roots, what is in those churches. You will discover that there's a deviation from what is written and what is being practiced. There is a very big deviation. And look at most of the religions.
But I don't think that should be a challenge for now. We should be talking about, knowing our identity. What the church is talking about, or the doctrines of the church, I don't really think it should be a challenge for now.
Yes, it shouldn't be a challenge, but it is because our people have been taught with this.
Okay.
Remember that there's this philosophy, because where the problem is coming from, you know that all the while, why you see we struggle and it seems we can't make headways, because the Europeans have always, when we say they blocked us from different angles.
Okay.
The Roman Catholic Church is there from Rome, sponsoring their missionaries, sponsoring up until now. They still sponsor the church heavily, and of course it's not just about sponsoring the church, it's about bringing their ideology down to us and making it remain. That is the fight, that is the battle. And of course the Europeans have also done the same thing. But see, our people need to learn something, that what we have been taught is good. There's a lot of good things that we have learned, but the truth about it is that in the midst of those things we learned, we are the corruption. That is why we need to get down to what we have known in the past, compare it to what is available, what is on board, what is in line, what is even in the Bible. That is why we need to study. It's about studying. Because anybody you see that is arguing blindly, watch that person. It's not. So many of them are professors. I keep saying it. You see, so many of them are professors. There's no doubt. Some of them are lawyers. Some of them are lawyers. Some of them have big certificates, but they don't know anything about themselves.
But then, we keep talking about those, maybe the Christians, the doctrines brought to us by the European. What about those of us who have also maintained our culture? There are so many people who call, we call it the ordinalism, ordinal faith, which is still the same thing, just like you interpreted as Judaism.
Yes.
Ordinal tradition.
Yes.
Our cultures.
Of course.
We still see people in that faith being scared of the word Judaism.
Yes.
So now do we blame it on the colonization?
That is now the linguistic.
On the European?
No, that is not the linguistic problem.
Okay.
That is where the linguistic barriers.
That is to say we are having two factors to blame: linguistic and colonization.
Exactly. So it's just about ignorance, because even in Judaism you have different sects in Judaism.
Okay.
So you see, you have the Orthodox Jews. So the same thing, when you look at it, it's all about bringing this thing back to our mother tongue. And that is why the area we must emphasize, the indigenous people of Biafra, we need to work on our language this time around. And that is where teaching and learning of our language must start in earnest. We must know what those words that we say in Hebrew mean in Igbo language.
Okay.
Because that is where the challenge is coming from. You see, when we do worship our maker in our mother tongue, and you rightly said it last time, that our challenge, so many people get confused, because when you say it in Hebrew, that is good. There's no problem with learning Hebrew, but we should also, because today our mother tongue, the language we know better is, we know about the Igbo language, you know about the Efik, talk about the Calabar, you talk about Ibibio. These are the languages that is, we need to bring these things back to our mother tongue, because that is what the Jews are known for. There in Israel, everything are done in Hebrew, because that is the national language.
You see, that's what you just said now is a kind of fear. It's a kind of the fear of some of our people, especially those of them of the ordinal faith. You said all of a sudden our people who recently converted to Judaism, try to make it seem as if our language is no longer good. Yes, you see everyone changing their name. They change the name, they pray, and they come and tell you we are praying in Hebrew language. And I think there is a problem there.
See, Nnamdi Kanu did not change his name. You remember that Nnamdi Kanu has always been Nnamdi Kanu.
Sure.
As a Jew.
And he even said the first time he went to Jerusalem to pray, say, when he heard the voice of Chukwu Kikapama, he spoke to him in Igbo language.
In Igbo language.
So I think that's where we are having this challenge.
You see, one thing that we must know is that our Maker understands us. And he is closer to us than we ever thought. He wants to speak to us in the language we will understand. So you see, praying in Hebrew is not a problem. After all, that is what a lot of us that attended the churches, of course, the Roman Catholic and all that brought into it. Because there you see, if you prayed in Latin, you have prayed in a very holy language. That is what it used to be. And of course, in those days, you need to hear Reverend Fathers praying in Latin. They are cut off, and the whole congregation are just there watching. And sometimes you see some people who sleep in the church. Why do people sleep in the church? Because they are cut off. You see them praying, and the Reverend Father becomes so holy, and you think he's saying something that's strange. He's simply speaking speaking the European language, Latin. And in those days when our mothers didn't understand English language, you need to understand when you are praying in English how holy you were. And everybody wanted their children to learn how to speak this language. And you needed to speak English language, and when your children spoke good English, you were happy.
It's happening again, so something needs to be done.
So now, what the thing is, Nnamdi Kanu had never changed our language.
Sure.
That is the difference in the former colonization and what we call the colonization we have been into. When they came with their language. But Nnamdi Kanu did not change his name. Remember that the European came with changing of names. If there was colonization, the first thing Nnamdi Kanu would have done was to change his name to something in Hebrew.
Exactly, because it should start from him.
It should start from him.
You're right.
He would have simply denounced his Igbo origin. He would have simply denounced his name. He would have simply denounced his language and started learning Hebrew. But he didn't do that. Nnamdi Kanu prays in Igbo language. Nnamdi Kanu still maintains his name and his father's name. And of course, as an Igbo man, he doesn't change it. So how dare you now tell me that he's being colonized? Because what the Europeans did, when they came here, they changed our names. Some we are Robinson, some we are Milton, some we are, they change our names, and up until now, you see a Biafran, and you look at him, what is your name? You see him bearing a slave name, like a dog. So that is what colonization brings. But in our own case, it's not. We retain everything we have. We are not throwing them away because we value our we are only going to remove the corruption. We are only going to, because we must return back to our roots.
I was amazed when one of our brother here told me that when they were chanting, they have this chanting in Hebrew language, and when one of their Hebrew brother from Israel came, one of the white guy came, he told them, wow, you guys are doing wonderful, but you need to learn how to make this chant, how to create this chant in your own language, because we will also want to learn it. It's important you chant in your language. He said the Hebrew brother told him, the Israeli brother told him that, and I was amazed. So why are people afraid of colonization? Why are they trying to make it look as if it's a colonization?
No, you see, those of them that say those things say them out of fear.
Yeah.
You understand, and sometimes you don't blame them. Sometimes you don't blame them because they felt that somebody is going to ask them to throw away what they have.
Exactly.
And that is wrong. That is not the truth. The truth is that we must work on ourselves in an aspect. We must remove those strange things that have come into our tradition. Those aspects must be worked on. Like our leader have rightly said that the Osu thing must be abolished in Biafra, and it's strange. Because there's nobody in Biafra that you can say, we are the children of Chukwu Kabiama. How dare you call somebody an Osu? So those aspects must be removed.
And of course, it's in progress.
Yes, it's in progress. So we are working, and the first thing we need to work on, we must start working on our educational system, because that is where the thing is. And that is why Nnamdi Kanu had established Radio Biafra London and started educating us. Because even those of them who had gone to the teaching training school don't know anything. They have been trained actually, but they don't know anything about us. Most of them don't know our language. They don't understand. And they are in Nsoka. I was surprised that there is an European who was writing our language. An European, when they came, they took time to study us. They took time to study us, and they were studying our language. They were studying everything about us, and they were writing it. And today you see them coming talking about BBC Igbo. Don't think it's only our people that are doing into that business. The Europeans are also involved. The British are also involved, because for them to colonize us, they studied us deep. They needed to understand, and that is why they planted this in us and tell us that, see, in psychology they did something, that your father's way of life is evil. And what did they do? They simply planted so many strange things, and of course told you that, see, your way of life is evil, forget it. But they know that it's not evil, because it was written there in the Bible. So if it was evil, why do we find them in the Bible? They are not evil. Our way of life are pure. All we need to do is remove the strange ones, and the language barrier we must fix it. We must fix it, because you see the issue of renaming. People coming and of course throwing away their names, and now you need to understand the meaning of your name. So many people don't even understand the meaning of their names, how powerful their names have been and have been working for them. But you see, based on the slave name they took, a lot of them anyway, don't blame them, because some of them have slave names and they are throwing it away.
Just like you have pride.
Yes, of course, of course. And of course, why I didn't throw my own away is that it has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with religion. So that's why I didn't bother to throw it away. Of course, there's nothing wrong with English language. There's nothing wrong in Hebrew language. There's nothing wrong with any language in the world, if you can speak it fluently. If you can speak it fluently, there's nothing wrong with any language. But the truth about it is
that is to say, speaking it fluently is not really the issue. Speaking it fluently and understanding it.
What you are doing,
speak.
They don't understand.
Come and speak a very big, ambiguous. I might use one ambiguous word, and yet I do not know the meaning, because I heard someone using it. That's a challenge, and that I think that's one of the cause of the problem we are having.
And that is what we must not allow in spirituality, because when you are talking to your spirit, you are closer, like your reborn. Your spirit is everything. You are closer to your maker. So you need to understand, you need to speak in the language you understand best. Okay. The language you understand best need to be the language of communication. And that is why you see, there in the synagogue, we must start working on our language. We must work on it.
All right, thank you very much. This moment we'll be going on a break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Away at the outside prison, I call am outside world. My Chris wall be that, not the outside Buhari day. My Chris man be that, and the man in Chris man's king. Not the outside them judge they beg you. My Chris wall be that, not the outside them kill them students. So went to Rosari and Ife. My Chris wall be that, not the outside Buhari day. The best man be that, and the man in this man's gaming. The best man be that, and the man in this man's gaming. The best one be that, you. Make you hear this one. Power gets in discipline you. The Nigerian government, you. Them they talk you. My people are useless, my people are senseless, my people are indisciplined. I never heard that before. Make talk you. Which kind talk be that you? Now Chris talk be that you. The outside prison, I call am outside world. My Chris wall be that, not the outside Buhari day. My best man be that, and the man in this man's king. Not the outside them judge they beg you. My Chris wall be that, not the outside them kill them students. So went to Rosari and Ife. Chris wall be that, not the outside Buhari day. A Chris man be that, and the man in Chris man's skin. A Chris man be that, and the man in Chris man's skin. A Chris wall be that, you. Make you hear this one. What against discipline you? The Nigerian government, you. Them they talk you. My people are useless, my people are senseless, my people are indisciplined. I never heard that before. Make government talk you. Which kind talk be that you? That grace talk be that you.
Welcome back. You're still watching Sunrise Daily News Analysis on Biafra Television, and we are reaching you from Biafra land, transmitting simultaneously on Radio Biafra London. I am Ngozi Chukwu, and of course my guest in the studio this morning is Massive Bright Oriako. We are looking at a very critical issue, very, very critical, and of course our people need to understand a lot of things, and sure, we are getting there. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. We are getting there. Okay, Mazi Oriako, let's go back to what we're discussing. Biafra, a Jewish state, what to expect, and of course, dealing with the controversies. We are dealing with the controversies. It's very important. Just like you said, there are two problems to tackle. One is a colonization, the other is linguistic problem. These are the two major factors that are kind of dividing us. Not really the religion, for people who believe in religion, not really the tradition, not really calling it Judaism, not really the culture, not really having affiliation with Israel. I think that's not a problem. It's not a colonization. You said we should blame it on colonization and linguistic issues. Okay, now seeing the reactions coming from Christians, we have those of them from the Roman Catholic, we have those of them from England. Yeah, we have some of them of the Anglican Church, which gave birth to Pentecostalism and all the rest. What do you expect? What do you expect of these people, not our own people in this religion, but the Rome, the England, that is Britain? Do you envisage them feeling any threats to what they have here?
You see, when you look at the Roman Catholic Church and look at Italy, because when we are talking about Roman Catholic Church, we are talking about Italy, we are talking about Rome, and you are looking at the Anglican Church, you are looking at England. Today, where are they in the religion they brought to us? One, we also need to ask these questions. Why are they becoming Islamic and they are leaving us with the religion they brought to us, and they are leaving us behind? And our people held it strongly. Why is this so? They need to explain some things also. You see, they have been fighting, and they are not fighting because they love us. They are simply fighting because they want us to remain under them. You know that one thing about colonization is about slavery. Because once one acquires a slave, and it's a loyal slave for that matter, one that has been so obedient, one that has been so loyal to you, you want that slave to remain with you. And of course, generational slave, you want it to remain. And that is why you see that in everything they are doing, there's something they are gaining. They are gaining a lot of things, because they have actually used Biafrans to sustain the religion. They have actually used Biafrans to sustain the ideology, colonization, post-colonial issues. They have also always used the Biafrans to do that. But the truth about it is that they are helpless, because it is by choice. It is by choice. Religion is by choice. when you get affiliated to something that is not your own, there's nothing you can do about it, because a lie will remain a lie until you bring in the truth. You see, we have no problem with Rome, and they shouldn't have problem with us. Yes, of course they should. We expect them to struggle. We expect them to come on. Of course, it's not that they are coming now. They have been doing that all the while. You remember all the while that the killings have continued, and you see a lot of problems going on, and you ask yourself, why is it that they are now talking about unification, Islamization? Why are they throwing that line? Why are they bringing something? You know, people talk. Sometimes I look at those who criticize what Nnamdi Kanu is doing, and you have there with you the alternative they have brought. They want to use to quickly replace what you had. They have brought the Islamization agenda, and people are not asking questions. That why is it that England today that brought Christianity to us are now turning to Islam? Why is it that the Roman Catholic today, look at the Pope himself becoming so friendly with the Islamic world, and you look at the killings that have been going on, and none of them are speaking up? Don't you think that something is fishy somewhere? Something is fishy. They have an interest, and they have, they don't want to lose. It's just losing those their slaves. They don't want to lose, and that is why you see them coming and of course rebranding Islam today. And you see a kind of what those elements you used to see in Christianity. Look at Islam today. The Islam that is coming, that is what you find there. So that is why we must get back to our roots. We must allow them live their own life. Celebrate whatever they celebrate.
But don't you say, sorry, I understand you, but the angle I'm coming from is this. Don't you think they will try to fight the relationship we are having, or we have with Israel presently? We know so many times they like to use our people who are the bishops, the cardinals, and all the rest to stop us. So don't you think, don't you envisage them coming to, indirectly fight?
They are not just coming, they have been fighting. Remember, the genocide that took place wasn't just about Nigeria. So you saw that Britain led it, but with affiliation of other world powers.
So do you see it happening again?
You see, it's not that it's happening again. It has always been there, but we have defeated them.
Okay.
By knowledge, just by simple knowledge. That is why I say my people must get back to learn. Must understand what we are talking about. Celebrate your singularity. Celebrate your own identity. Know who you are. And let it become an individual thing. Let us come back to our root. And as soon as we get back to our root, we have defeated them. Because knowledge is what makes the difference. Because they will be helpless. You see, fighting doesn't change anything. They have always been fighting. They fought us 1967. Did they stop? They did not stop. They continued. That is why you see that immediately while the genocide was being committed, they were sending more religion to us. They were empowering the religious bodies to become stronger, just to make sure that they sustain what they were doing. So they fight most of the time. So many of us are fighting things we don't know. And sometimes you see people praying and they are fighting strange forces they don't understand. They're fighting so many things, and when you get to the church, they tell you that it is something for your fathers did. What is it that our fathers did? Our fathers forsook their ancient way of life. That is actually our sin. Our sin is that it is there spelled out in the Bible that you have forsaken the ways of your fathers. That is our sin. So if there's any sin we committed at all, it's the sin of forsaking our roots. It's the sin of accepting colonization. It's the sin of accepting their ideology. It's the sin of accepting the slave name they gave to us. And that is what we must fix. So it doesn't matter what they are saying. It doesn't matter how they have been fighting. They have been fighting. But remember, the knowledge Nnamdi Kanu brought to us is what we have used to cripple them. They have been defeated already. They know it. Do you know that these people they study ahead of time? They have studied this whole scenario. They have seen what is happening, and that is why you see all of them keeping mute, because they have been defeated.
Do you think they are actually keeping mute or working underground?
They are not coming to play openly in the killing of Christians. You don't see them coming out. Do you see them coming out? They don't come out. But you see, they even secretly, if they are fighting secretly, they fight secretly and die secretly, because they can never get to us again. All we need to do is activate all the energy in us. Once you activate all that choke Kabiama, you were born with it. There's something you were born with, and that is what we are forsaking. When you were coming, of course, when you were being made, choke Kabiama position you for something unique for your generation. And colonization is about you, of course, living your real person and following another person's way of life. And of course, living your real pursuit in life, living your personal identity, living your own potential, and you're living up to something you don't know. And that is why we are fighting things we don't know, strange forces. They have been taking advantage. You see, the war has been a war of knowledge. They took advantage of what the British worked on it and made sure that they removed. When history is not taught, it's for a reason. When they are fighting, the fight has always been first fought at the intellectual level. It is being fought spiritually, and of course working on your intellect, and then before you talk about manifestations. So it is about what you know. As soon as, of course, they get to realize that there's nothing they can do about it, and of course that is why you see that the surfacing of Nnamdi Kanu, and watch the location, especially in Israel, that is why they describe it as a thunderbolt, and it is something that's destroyed all they have always thought. You see, the politics in Nigeria, you ask yourself, who is repositioning Nigeria to Islamization agenda? Then we are working on it. But Mazen and the Kanu simply appeared, and they saw that, see, these people are back to their root. There's nothing we have been talking about it, but they felt that, see, we cannot reconcile it. And that is why our people don't understand that when they are talking to you, you need to understand what is happening. They felt that, see, with the level of damage they have done, that there is no way we can reconcile it. But they are surprised that we are getting back to it, and our leader came openly in that television broadcast and made it clear. And today, what you see that is the battle that is there is the last. We remember we said we are getting to the last phase. Nnamdi Kanu said he will destroy Nigeria with something, with the instrumentality of the truth. And of course, once you know the truth, you are free, because you shall know the truth, and it is the truth you know and practice that makes you free. So once they know that we have known the truth, I'm telling you, there's no point them advancing, because they know that we have defeated them intellectually. The psychology they have been using to work has collapsed. The philosophy they planted has collapsed. We have come with the real stuff. We are back to our roots, and they will not do anything about it. The more they try to bring something strange, the more we counter it, because we already know the truth. So we are dealing with strange knowledge. That was where our problem was. That was because the kind of educational system. You see me all the time. You see that I keep talking about the educational system. You see talking about the intellect. You talk about, you ask yourself, do people really think? Because if you think, you will know who you are. You begin to think about things that happen to you, how pure your life has been. And the more you go to most of these their spiritual places, you practice those of things they practice, the more corrupt you are, instead of becoming holy. What is it that is holy? Is it the religion that is holy? Is it the land that is holy, or the person? So you need to look at yourself. Think deep. Who are you? That is the first thing to use. Because you see a lion. There's this story about a lion being caught. And of course, you see, a lion was caught, and of course, the baby of a lion was caught and taken away, and they breeded among sheep.
Goats, yeah.
And this lion began to behave like a sheep. Of course, it was growing, and everything it was doing was like a sheep. And one day they went to drink at a pool, and each time they come to drink, the real lion from the other end will roar, and all of them will run away. And this one that is growing now, the lion sheep, will always know that, see, there's something that each time the other one roar, all of us will run away. So he will also run away with them. The lion sheep will also run with them. But a day came. They went to a pool, they were drinking, and he now saw his picture in the water. He now saw who he really was. He now saw that there's a difference between him and the other ones. And then he now started thinking. Then a day came, that same lion that used to roar from the other end came. He now knew that, see, I look like that thing that is roaring from the other end. So do you know what happened? Another day came that this lion came and roared. The one from the other end, the lion sheep, also roared. And you see lion greeting lion. And what do you happen? That is Biafra and Israel. And that is the relationship that you see. And they greeted themselves wagging their tails. While the sheep ran away, the real lion now took a step. And there's nothing. The sheep will only run away. All these British government you see, the Europeans you see, they are fading away. There's nothing they can do about it. There is absolutely nothing they can do because we are back to our roots. We have discovered our identity.
Okay, thank you very much. But then it's not really an easy one. So I think there is something that the IPOB or the leadership of IPOB need to do to reconcile this whole issue and, you know, make everybody work together. I think they have a role to play in this.
Yes.
So what do you think should be done for everyone to understand and be carried along?
Strengthen our educational system. Of course, when Biafra is restored, a lot of things will happen.
I'm talking about now, before
Okay.
Biafra restoration.
Okay. You see, presently, our people need to be educated. It's about knowledge. Let our people, of course, learn to get back to our roots. It's about education. It's about telling the people. We need to keep talking about it. You don't need to run away from it. We cannot run away from it. We have already been born to restore Biafra. And remember that I said it before, that if you are born in this generation, we are born to restore Biafra. So the leadership of IPOB, of course, in this direction, must, of course, understand the condition of the people, that those who are talking nonsense are saying it out of ignorance. And when you meet an ignoramus, all you need to do is try to educate the person. So every IPOB member have got a responsibility. Let our leadership emphasize this. Let us get back and, of course, begin to study. Let it become part of our system. Let it be taught there in our family unit. Let us get back to learning ways. Let our meetings be strengthened. Let our family unit become stronger, because it is about something that we pass on from generation to generation, and it is there inherent in our family system. And that is why Nnamdi Kanu did something first: restored our family, IPOB family. Being an IPOB is belonging to that IPOB family, because that is where you know the truth. That is where we study. That is our learning center. You need to get down there and join others. You need to go and ask questions in case you don't understand, because people simply do things because they don't understand. You need to find out. I'm telling you, there are so many of them who you see, of course, they are dressed well in Judaism, but they still don't understand what they are doing. I'm telling you, because so many of them practice it and they don't understand the deep knowledge. You need to get back and start learning, because so many of us, of course, began to dress well and began to take their, of course, recently. But so many, you need to get down. There are so many who have advanced, who have learned so much. So many people have been studying. If you are ignorant, don't think everybody have been ignorant. There are so many people who have known. There are so many people who have been learning, who know the deep truth. All we need to do is strengthen, of course, we need to position those who know at strategic position, so that they will be able to influence others, so that they'll be able to teach others. It's about learning. Let us begin to learn in our family units and strengthen it. Let the education, of course, be taken down to our family unit. Then we have solved the problem.
All right, thank you very much, Mazi Oriako. Viewers out there, thank you for joining us today. This is the much we can take. And but before we go, I know Mazi Oriako have a message. You always have a message for people.
Of course, Biafran lovers of freedom, my brothers and sisters, we are here to restore Biafra, and that is why you identifying yourself is a way of restoring Biafra. Work on yourself, work on your family, and of course, get your roots back, and you have restored Biafra in your own way. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Viewers, thank you for your call. Thank you. Sorry for your comments. Yes, I said call because some people we are really inboxing me say, this is my comment. I want you to